Here we go. This is our next podcast, Behind the Paywall. It starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and
everybody.
welcome to the Nickson and Sharyn podcast. Very, very, very excited for today's episode.
It's already started hot off the mics. And now it's going to get even hotter and more juicier, apparently.
Yeah, born Christmas Eve in 1985. Oh, nah?
How do you know that?
What? Emporidor. Oh, what?
Oh,
No,
That's
what?
me. Someone's been on my Wikipedia.
Is that true? Oh,
Yeah.
anyway, Sharyn Casey, everybody.
Yay! Full government name, Sharyn Mary Allen Casey.
That's me.
Used to be Wakefield.
Yes.
That's whoa. You really went deep on my Wikipedia, Nate.
Well, no, here's the crazy thing is so I've worked with Sharyn and known her a very long time. Nate had a crush on Sharyn, so like this is crazy how the whole ecosystem now,
Did
you know,
you?
we're all together in the same room.
I knew that you said I had the hottest white girl butt at work. I didn't know you had a full crush on me.
She reminds me that you've said that a lot of times.
What it was is a lot of respect because my first day ever at MediaWorks, Sharyn helped me because Nickson lied about my CV and said I knew how to program, and I showed up to MediaWorks and they said, "Well, there's the computer." And I was like,
On your way.
I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And first time I heard Nicki Minaj, you sent me a song. I didn't know who Nicki Minaj was.
Wow. Cool.
I will. Can I just say I was on Nicki Minaj before any radio station played Nicki Minaj.
And then I was because he, yeah.
And I was the first to play Psy Gangnam Style.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same. I don't think it's the same caliber. But hey, a hit is a hit.
A hit is a hit. Now, it's good to have you here.
Who pulled out?
No one pulled out.
Because I got a text from Nickson last night and I was like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm so chuffed to be asked. When do you want me? He's like, tomorrow. And I was like, okay, some motherfucker has pulled out.
No one pulled out. No, we were talking, Nate and I.
We were chatting, and Nickson goes, "I'm nervous about this one,
Why?
but I really wanted to come on the show." I was like, "Fuck yeah, bring her on."
No, because, you know, I thought it would be nice to, like, clear the air about a few things, that, you know. You know, like, I worked with Sharyn for, 2 years on my Japan trip.
Wait, but how long have you guys actually known each other?
Yeah,
before
when did we first meet Sharyn? Sharyn came to my wedding.
I think like 17 years.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, about
Yeah.
that.
So when you first came to the Edge, we worked together.
Yeah.
And then
You were at the Edge then too, eh? You had maybe a year deep?
Yeah. So I think we must have known each other like 17 years. And then I got a phone call from my old boss from Wairarapa. And she was like, oh, can you talk to this girl, Sarah? She wants to go for a job, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I talked to Sarah, who's now Nickson's wife, about coming to Auckland and like how great it would be and what she should say in a job interview. And Sarah and I became friends when she moved to Auckland. And then one night we were at Britomart Country Club and Nickson said to me, I really like her, eh? Like, don't tell her. And I was a few beers deep. And so I went up to Sarah and I was like, Nickson's got a crush on you. Do you like him?
So
I'm responsible for the
she-
relationship.
I was waiting for that. Yeah, don't tell him.
What are you, 5?
He was so smitten with Sarah.
Because-
like from the get-go, he was just like, she is the perfect
And
person.
still to this day, she is still my perfect.
That's so weird because that was during.
Nah, it was after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was after that.
Oh, okay.
He'd already had his heart broken at this point and come out the other side.
Yeah, and I lost an extreme amount of weight
Yeah.
after that.
And
Yeah.
we've had some, that was.
I lost half my body weight.
Yeah.
I remember.
I went from 120 to 62 kilos.
He came to visit me. He was going through something psychological for sure because I was working at New FM doing the afternoon show there. He came to visit me. He almost passed out just walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
And I go, what's going on, man? He goes, I just eat tomatoes now.
I ate tomatoes in Iran.
If he ate a tomato, I would have been surprised. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how deep you want to go on that, Nickson, but I remember that was
Oh, no, it's called character building.
That was one of it makes me emotional to even like think about it. Is that was possibly one of the hardest things I've ever watched a friend go through because it's like you just watched your friend wasting away and right in front of your eyes. And I remember we were all going to Leon, our boss, and we were like, Nickson needs help. Like there's something going on with Nickson. Like we need to help him. And I feel like he had like a dad chat with you at some point. But I remember being so worried about you, and I remember seeing a photo of you holding like a baby and you had no shirt on, and I was like,
It wasn't my baby, by the way.
It wasn't his baby.
It wasn't
his
skin
baby,
to skin.
but yeah, it was. And so like last year when you started losing weight again, so many times I was saying to Nickson, I was like, I've got your number. I have seen this before. I'm not watching it again. And
Wait, but guys, I know how to do it. So if anybody is on the journey to lose weight, I'm going to be selling my program.
yeah, but don't go to the extreme that Nickson went to because it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Just hearing that makes me feel like a bad friend because I saw him in that new skinny state. I was like, what's the secret? Everyone else was going,
At first
Show
it
me your
was.
ways.
At first it was the secret, and then he went from like Nickson before to like Nickson skin on top of somebody's literal skeleton, and it was really, really hard and heartbreaking to watch because Nickson's such a incredible person, and it was like he couldn't see that at the time. But
Thanks for
now
that.
he does.
Yeah.
Now he does. But that's why I'm
Now I'm
always
full of
on your
confidence.
ass when you're shredding. I'm always sitting there being like, I know, I've watched this. I'm not watching it again. I'm going to tell Sarah.
I'm not trying to say I'm an expert, but isn't that what David Goggins did?
Who's David Goggins?
Oh yeah, hard out.
Get hard.
The guy who was he a Navy SEAL?
He was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, he wrote a book. What's the book called?
Get hard.
Oh, is it called Get Hard?
Yeah, you weren't getting hard. You were just getting bones.
Bones.
And not the good bones.
Yeah, no, I wasn't getting boned at all. No, but that's crazy because I mean, like Sharyn just explained, you know, like for people who listen to us on the radio or listen to the podcast, you know, like there's always this deeper layer to, you know, our relationships within the industry as well. Like I said, like Sharyn came to my wedding. She's friends with my wife. We did a show together. There's been so many different layers to it. I fought her husband and lost to him and fight for life.
You keep bringing that up, man.
I know.
It was
You
a
know,
big
if you
day.
just don't bring it up, no one will like.
No one will remember. No one will remember but Bryce.
Yeah, exactly. That every like year of like the anniversary of that fight, he'll put up a photo. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, cheers, man.
Cheers, thanks for reminding me.
Thanks,
Just keeping
man.
you in check, you know,
Yeah.
keeping you humble.
How's life?
Life is good. Life is overwhelming. It's been a big old year, but it's life's good. Got 2 beautiful boys. My husband's pretty cool. Work's been a fucking roll. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
It's
Fuck
been
yeah.
a fucking roller coaster this year. To be honest, I'm surprised that I'm sitting behind a microphone. I didn't think that I would be sitting behind a microphone at this point after what we went through at the start of the year. And
Just remind us what happened at the start of the year. Oh, well,
okay, let's go. We're getting deep. Okay.
I mean, we're all friends.
So, well, you know,
and it's a safe
actually,
space.
it's quite good to talk about it because I
Yeah.
think so.
Hence
Nickson,
why I think this
Yeah.
is great.
so Nickson and I, we did Edge Afternoons together for 2 years, and
Nearly.
and I loved our show. I loved working with Nickson. I loved working with Steph. We had Aaron was our producer and Cal before that, and I loved it. And I was so happy, and I felt so safe in the Edge studio with both of them because you knew it was people that like had your back, and yeah. And I'd also been through like I had Guy, Sharyn, and Clint was my first drive show. I loved that show. I think that everyone has a soulmate show, and like that, you know, like you guys are a soulmate show. I look at people like Jason PJ; they were a soulmate show, and I loved that show. And then Guy wanted to leave, and so I was like, okay, it's me and Clint against the world. And I think that if they hadn't separated Clint and I, who's now in ZM, I think we would still be working together to this day.
And that's our boy. We love Clint.
Yeah.
Love. He's one of the greatest people in our industry. Like he's so.
He's got a very good heart.
Yeah, he's got a great heart. He's really uplifting of women. He doesn't have a massive ego. He's just such a great person to have in a studio.
Which is buzzy because he's a handsome bastard.
Oh my God, he's so handsome.
I know. Must be hard, eh?
Yeah.
Must be hard.
Emotionally, eh?
But yeah, so he got moved to George, and John and Ben wanted to come to the Edge, and their condition of coming to the Edge was that I had to be there. So I was like, oh my God, I'm like in this new show. They're like such a brand together, the two of them. But I was working on that show, and then John and Ben, after 3 years, got offered like a couldn't turn it down deal over at the other radio company. And so they left, and I was like, far out, okay. So we ended up doing I Quit Your Day Job. I found Jaden. Jaden and I were like best mates. And then I had Ruben, my second child, came back. And then maybe a year later, Jaden decided that he wanted to go traveling.
Yeah. So that's the
And-
third show.
Yeah. And so
The third edition of Edge Afternoons.
Yes. And so when that broke up, the bosses were like, you know, we want to put Nickson in with you. And I was like, well, I really want to work with Steph. Like Steph's been waiting. I think it'd be awesome to have a. Garner's trying to get his phone.
Oh.
Do you want to pass that to him? Sorry.
Duncan Garner.
Duncan Garner's just interrupting our feels.
Bro.
Hey!
Sorry, I just need some notes. Sorry.
No, we saw it. You're all good.
Duncan's still got a home button on his phone.
I just pushed it in. Hey, you gotta carry on because it's a good chat, though.
Oh, cheers.
Thanks, Duncan. Where were we?
So, yeah,
We'll wait for the door. We'll wait for the door.
See you, Dunk.
See you, mate.
Bye, Duncan.
Thanks, Sharyn.
Yeah, so then Leon the boss was like,
So you want to work with Steph?
Yeah, I was like, what should we do like next show? And I was like, I really want to work with Steph. I think we've never had a show where there's 2 females on it at the edge. I would love to work with Steph. And then it was like the third person, and Leon was like, what about Nickson? And I was like, yes, fuck yeah, like that'd be awesome. And so we kind of made history together, the 3 of us, where it was the first show the Edge had ever had, which had 2 women and someone who was Samoan like on the show. And we just clicked, and it was so fun, and we did some really cool stuff. We did some stuff that definitely made Nickson cringe.
No, they put me in a cage, man.
No, fuck
It
off!
was a bad look.
As a brown man seeing that,
You're such a fucking...
I sat here going, guys, this is going to look bad.
I'm sure it was your idea.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't my idea. Let's blame Steph.
Cool, yeah, I'll come up with an idea. Guys, today on the show, I want to put myself in a cage, but we'll play that like you guys put me in there.
And I've said to you multiple times since then, I was like, fuck, in hindsight,
That's a bad look.
that was a terrible look, and I'm really sorry. I've apologised to
The
you about
first
that.
Samoan to be on the edge, and then he gets put in a cage.
Oh, okay. Shut up. Nickson.
I can laugh about it. It's fine.
And
It's fine.
anyway, so we did that. We were going strong. We're like, fuck yeah. And I remember saying to Leon, I was like, I don't want to keep changing shows, because first of all, it makes it look like people don't want to work with me, which isn't the truth. Every time that my shows changed, Clint was moved against his will. Guy left because he wanted to focus on comedy. Jono and Ben left because they got offered massive deal to go somewhere else. And then Jaden left because he wanted to go traveling. So it was never because of anything that I've done. So I was like, after almost 2 years of Nickson, and they were like, we went into this meeting because Steph was about to go on mat leave, and we go into this meeting, and I had literally
This is one of those days that I never want to relive ever again, eh?
So we went into this meeting, and because we had prior said to Nickson, because he was being really strange, and he was like, can you tell Leon and that like how much you like working with me, and like how I'm really good on the edge and blah blah. And I was like, of course, like. And I literally, the day before we found out, went over to Leon, and I said to Leon, this is the happiest I've been in a show.
This guy's the godfather of radio, by the way.
I was like, this is the happiest I've been in a show in such a long time, and I love working with Nickson, and he's so great with connecting with the audience. The audience love him, and blah, blah, blah. And Leon was like, oh, yeah. I was like, well, and I remember saying to him, I was like, well, okay, don't get too freaking overwhelmed about some positive feedback.
No, but he's not one to gas you up.
Yeah, and
You know?
I guess every other time that a show was going to change, Leon had kind of given me a heads up. I mean, like, hey, this is a possibility. So we go into this meeting, and we walk in, and we'd straight out said to Nickson, we're like, are you going to go back to mine? He was like, fuck no. He was like, no, absolutely not. No way.
I was hamstrung.
He was like, I want to be at the edge.
I was hamstrung.
So we go into this meeting, and Steph and I realize that Leon's here, and we're like, oh no. We're like, Leon's here because he's going to tell Nickson that he has to anchor while Steph's on mat leave, and Nickson didn't want to anchor, and he didn't want to push the buttons. Yeah. So we were ready to like fight for Nickson to be like, no, Nickson doesn't want to do that. He's going to be unhappy. We need to come up with another option, blah, blah. Anyway, so they're like, oh, okay, so Chris Parker's going to come in while Steph's on mat leave. And I'm like, okay, well, that's 3 people in the studio. I was like, oh, God, here we go. Nickson's about to kick off. And he's like, and Nickson's going back to mine. And I was like, you what now? I was like, what? And he was like, oh, no, Nickson's going to be going back to mine. I was like, with Nate? And he was like, no. I was like, where? He's like, breakfast. I was like, what? What the and Leon and I have a very strange relationship where
Strange is one word for it. Hectic's another.
He's kind of like a second dad to me. So like when things like that happen, and also because of like the way my brain works is I tend to, my heart's on my sleeve. You'll know exactly how I feel about something. Like straight away, I can't hide emotion. And I straight away was like, what the fuck? I was like, Nickson doesn't want to go back to mine. He literally told us 2 days ago he never wants to go back to mine. What the fuck? I was like, you're a fuck. And I was like yelling at Leon. I was like, you're a liar. You're a liar. You told me the show wasn't going to change, because in my brain, I'm like, mentally, I was like, who the fuck's going to do the show with us now? Like, this is crazy. Like,
It was
this
at
is
that
not
point
how I
too,
thought it was coming.
and like you know me very well, Nate. Nate knows me better than most people, but you know how I kind of like love that kind of stuff. Like I love
you didn't.
confrontation, bro. Even I felt awkward.
Yeah. So in the end,
I was like, let me go now.
yeah.
Just
So
let
in
me
the
go
end,
now.
and then Leon's looking at me and he's like, okay, she's gonna fucking kick off. So Leon said, Sharyn won't be doing the show today. Let's just give her some time to process it. Which, first of all, I was like, cool. Everyone thought that I had decided that I wasn't doing the show, but I hadn't. Leon had told me I wasn't doing the show today so that I could process the emotion, because my emotion would like cloud the room and it wouldn't be a good show. I didn't make the decision not to do the show. And then him and I were just in the boardroom, and I was like, you told me my show wasn't going to change. Like, this is so stressful. It was like, this is like, everything was going so great. I don't get it. Like, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, Nickson wants to go. Nickson wants to go.
Bro, he just chucked me in the.
Then we go back to the studio and I say to Nickson straight, I was like, do you want to go? And he's like, it's like when they moved Clint to George. They're making me go.
Oh.
I was like, what? So then I'm like straight away super confused, like what? And so I'm like, I am so hurt and upset at Leon, like so hurt. The next day, Leon and I was supposed to be going to Taylor Swift in Melbourne with Meg and Steph from The Edge. And I said to Leon, I was like, I'll tell you on Monday, but I don't think I'm going to stay. I don't want to go through another new show.
So you had made up your mind that you wanted to quit.
Yeah, Bryce and I had we'd done our budget. I'd spoken to my parents, I'd spoken to mentors, and they were all like, you got to get out. And I felt so defeated and tired, and just mentally starting a new show was just too much. And so I said, I'll give you my answer on Monday. And then Leon called me and he goes, we will be talking on Thursday. You're not going to hang it over our head until Monday. And I was like, and I knew that he would then go, well, they're not going to Taylor Swift.
So
Which he
you
told
turned
me
back
afterwards.
afterwards.
He told me that afterwards once we'd made up. He was like, man, I was about to take you off that Taylor Swift trip. And so we go into this like soundproof booth, which is not soundproof. It's me, Leon, our big boss, and Casey, our boss at The Edge. And poor Casey is like against the wall, like, whoa, this is so crazy. While Leon and I are just like yelling at each other. Because I just felt it's a weird thing to explain when you're in a radio show with somebody. It's like being in a sexless marriage, and it's the same thing. You have the honeymoon
What a
period.
comparison.
You find the things that are annoying about them. You'll fight to the death for them if you needed to. Nobody messes. If anyone messed with Nickson, even now, I'd be like, hey, and I don't give a crap who you
Sometimes it's
are.
unsolicited too. She'll just start a fight.
I won't just start a fight, but I'll definitely be like, hey, stop being shit to my friend.
Yeah, I heard
because
about one recently.
Do you want to talk about that?
No.
No, but it was one of those things, and then so I had that moment, and then I was like, well, I'll tell you by the end of the day. And I didn't know at that point that my husband and my agent had been talking, and they were like, we don't want her to end her almost 20-year career on a bad note. Like, she deserves to like go out on the crest of the wave, like go out happy, knowing that she tried. And so I went home, and that night as I was leaving, I said to Steph, I was like, hey, I'm probably going to resign tomorrow. And I was planning to go home and write my resignation letter. I was like, I'm probably going to resign tomorrow. I just don't have it in me to do a new show. And Steph was like 8 months pregnant, or saying 7 months pregnant. She's like, I was like, but I'm
Read
not.
the room, Sharyn.
But I was
She's
like,
got
I'm
other
going
things
to
focus
wait.
on.
I'm going to wait until you get back from mat leave, because I want you to have the best mat leave ever.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, the best mat leave ever I could have is if you were here when I get back. And I was like, oh, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. And then she was like, just try. She's like, we can do this. Like, just try. And if you like it, awesome. And if you try and you don't like it,
At least you gave it a go.
then you gave it a go, and you can leave with your head held high rather than leaving on a fuck you. And
Steph is so wise.
yeah, she's so wise. And so I went home, talked to Bryce about that, and then I rang Leon that night and I said, and it was a real awkward conversation, because at first I rang him and he was like, have you seen Breaking Bad? And starts talking to me about TV shows. I was like, Leon, I don't want to talk about Breaking Bad. Like,
Also, that TV show came out ages ago.
yeah, I was like, I don't want to. He's like, what about Curb Your Enthusiasm? What about that thing? And I was like, Leon, like, stop trying to delay our awkward conversation. So then we had the conversation. It was fine. We had breakfast the next day, and we had really great conversation. We've always had quite good communication once we've stopped like yelling at each other. And I decided that I was going to stay. And I was really happy for Nickson, and I do want to make that very clear, is that once I had got through, I'm not proud of my extremely emotional
I was going to ask
reaction.
if you could have relived that day, would you have acted the same?
I think I would have still, well, you know what?
Wait, hold on. If you could relive that day, would you be a man and go, Sharyn, I really want to go back to the edge? Oh, sorry.
Tamai. Yeah. Because I think that the thing was, so what happened was, is
I've
that.
got an answer to that.
The thing is that I said, I'll stay. I'm going to see how it goes. But if I don't like it, I am going to leave. And that could be before my contract ends. And he was like, okay, well, I appreciate you giving it a go. We have a good conversation about it. Set some boundaries, all that sort of crap. And
Hey, boundaries are important.
boundaries are important. And and I'm glad that I did, because I have been re-inspired. But when I look back at my reaction, I am apologetic for being that emotional in a work environment. I'm not good with, because I've got ADHD, I'm not good with change. And so when change happens, I will just react. And Leon knows that about me. I think that's why he lets me argue with him, that he knows that I will react and have a huge emotion. And then once that subsides, I'll be more reasonable about it. And I think it's like going back to like the sexless marriage thing that our shows are like, nobody knows what it feels like to be in the studio unless you've done that job. Like you guys would know. But to me, and also to Steph, it felt like we'd been dumped completely out of nowhere and he already had a new girlfriend. It was that same emotional feeling.
Was the overlap?
Yeah, it was the overlap. Classic.
The overlap.
But also, I think part of it for me was, you might edit this out. Part of it for me was I feel like Nickson acts like he knows how good he is and that he's the man and all that shit. But I don't believe that for a second. I know that Nickson has self-belief, but I also think that Nickson doesn't realize how good he is. So he thought the Edge audience didn't get his jokes, and that didn't help with a freaking TikTok video of when you did a joke about Steph being round. And when they put it in the group chat, I was like, can you re-edit it so it has us laughing at the end? Otherwise people will think that, and they're like, nah, it's funnier if it's awkward. So it goes up awkward, and then all of like the My FM audience are like, yeah, they didn't get your jokes. Yeah, they didn't. They
don't appreciate you.
They didn't get your sense of humor. They've got no gags. Blah blah blah. I was like, we literally were doing a joke where we were pretending to be awkward, and then we all laughed, and that got edited out of the video. And I was like, so when people started writing that, I was like, ah! Like, that is not what happened. We did laugh. It's just been edited because they thought it would be funny or awkward. But I knew that you thought the Edge audience didn't get you, and so you overthought that, and you really, I think you overthought it and kind of talked yourself into the fact that you didn't belong there. But the thing is that, and I said this to you at the time, I think also you had people in your life that didn't even want to acknowledge that you worked at the Edge. Like, I remember we did a birthday shout out thing for you, and they purposefully made a point of not even mentioning the Edge and saying that you'd found your true dream job. And I was like, oh, they're going to acknowledge us. And they like talked about the golf club, and it was like, but the thing
It wasn't me, by the way.
It wasn't you, Nate. No, but it was.
I was in jail.
Yeah, you were in jail on
You're
my
in
birthday.
jail. I did try to get a birthday message from you, though. It was just too hard. But it was one of those things, and I said this to you at the end. Like, I fully respect and understand and support the fact you went back to My. And in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, you are the king of My FM, right?
Well,
but
no,
but I do think that it is important for people to know that the Edge audience did get Nickson. The Edge audience loved Nickson. Nickson represented a part of the audience that hadn't been represented before, and that was reflected in the people that would call in. We started getting more like callers from like the Pacifica community. People were more engaged with our show. And when he left on his last day, and I said this to you in the studio on the day, I said to him, Nickson, I don't want you to walk away from this job thinking people didn't get you, because that text machine is one of the biggest reactions I've ever seen for someone leaving a show. And this audience loved you. And please don't think that it was a failure coming here, because you have well and truly succeeded coming here. And you did such a great job. And I think also it disappointed me that you had people in your life that were like, why are you working there? Like, they're lame, whatever. Because what you were doing...
No, but I was... Okay, yeah.
But what you were doing was you were giving, like, Pacifica people a voice on a platform that they hadn't had before, which was really important and much needed. And you made history. You made history in that Japan trip because you came and you showed that there is space for everybody at the Edge. Like, and we want that. Like, we want the Edge to be way more diverse. Like, looking at how many billboards of like a bunch of white people in front of a bright color can we see? Like, and I think what you did do, even though it was your Japan trip, I hope that you look at it that you made history, you made an impact, and people loved you. They really did. And I don't think that people acknowledge that. I think a lot of people say...
Yeah, because they only came out of the bushes when I left. You know, on my last day, I was like, where were you guys 2 months ago?
No, they were there.
I know.
They were there. But I think it is important to note, because I have seen the comments
This
of
is
people
not a
being
Guess Up
like,
Nickson podcast.
No,
too,
I know.
by the way.
I know it's not. But
I know what you're doing though.
What?
Just ask me.
What?
Do you want me to come work with you?
Do you know what? I literally suggested it. When Nickson left, we were like looking
Just get
at...
Nate, he's out of jail now.
Like, we were looking at people. We were writing a list of like dream people, and I was like, well, Nate was always my favorite person to listen to.
Hey.
Like, he just made me laugh so much. I was like, what about Nate? But then you were doing the podcast with Nickson, and I was like, fuck you. I can't break into that. But it was yeah.
The Edge is a very hard radio station to work on. I know that
you did used to say it was too fast for you.
It's way too fast.
Yeah.
And I'm not a lazy person,
No.
right? Like I know when to chill and I know when to work hard, but I work hard differently to what other people, you know, like I'm not out there lifting heavy things or anything like that. But working at the Edge you're kind of right. Like I have all the confidence in the world, but I sometimes will fall into a trap where I don't think that I can keep up. So then I will only do things that I know that I'm good at. So that's why I don't partake in a lot of things that I know that I'm not good at. And at the Edge, I was like, I can't keep up. This is way too fast for me.
But I think that was also your brain. You could keep up. You could have kept up if you wanted to. But I think that your heart was still at and that's totally understandable. I would be the same if I worked for another radio station. My heart would still be at Edge.
Would you work
know?
at mine?
Well, we did an audition. Remember I auditioned to come on after Kanoa? We did an audition and then and it was actually real good.
And then Severe said no.
Severe said no, and then he said, oh, you don't know, it's really big, like you don't know much Reo Māori. And then I started naming objects in his room in Reo Māori. I was like saying what the Māori word for clock
Bro,
and all
she
that sort of
knows
stuff
all
was.
the Murder Inc. songs.
And I was like, also I helped Nickson and Leon pick all the songs for when my relaunched, and so I was like, I do understand my FM. Most of the music my FM plays is what I listen to, and I could have done that job. And then Severe was like, look, I'll be honest, Leon's not going to let you leave the Edge, so I just did this to entertain Nickson and Nate. I was like, okay, sweet as. And I was like, fuck, because I was doing days then. I wanted to do like a combo show, and I was like, I loved the kind of mission that Maya was on, and like the relaunch after watching Leon and Nickson rip it apart and put it back together, and how much love and care they did with that, with every intricate detail, is still one of my favorite things I've ever seen in radio. Like the way that they literally pulled every single song off the playlist, they completely restaffed the station. It was beautiful mind shit. It was amazing. But yeah, I would 100% I would have worked at Maya if I'd been given the opportunity.
Are me and your husband cool?
I think so. Why?
No, because like obviously, you know, you're gonna back your wife 100. Like I would back Sarah 100.
Yeah.
But you know when everything went down.
Yeah.
Was he cool? Nah.
I don't want to speak for him. I think he was.
Because I always found it awkward in the kitchen in the morning. I was like, hey man.
Oh, when you first started back at Maya?
Yeah.
I think that he...
And you know I've got all the love in the world for Bryce. Like
yeah,
he's my
I don't
guy.
want to speak for him because I don't actually know the answer to that
We'll
question.
get him on the podcast. Yeah, we'll get him on the podcast.
I think that he was frustrated because
You were sad.
I was really upset, and so I was kind of grieving, but also Leon and that are saying one thing and you were saying the other thing, and that was a mind fuck for me because I was like, who's lying? Like someone's lying and this is fucking driving me crazy. Whereas like if Nickson had just said to me, Shaz, I really just want to go back to I want to do this.
There was a number of factors on why I wanted to go back to my.
But that didn't come straight away. I don't think you told me that for like a week.
Because it's my own personal business.
I know that. Yeah. I know that. But you were saying, because you were saying to us you were being made to go. Because I love you,
there was a few
I'm going to go in
there.
and I'm going to go and fight for you to not have to do something you didn't want to do and be unhappy. And so that's why I was like, "What? I don't want my friend to be unhappy. Like, why are you doing this?" So that was it.
Can I just clear something up? So my contract was coming up, right? And I was at very high risk of thinking, okay, like we get, you miss coaching. You never got coached.
And I never will.
So we're getting, right? I was constantly getting told, you need to do this, you need to be this, you need to do this. And you can see how exhausting that is, you know? I've done my time. I feel like I know my character. I've built a radio reputation now, whether it's good or bad. I feel like I know what I'm doing. But I was constantly getting told one thing, hearing another thing, and then having, to support Steph and Sharyn in the show as well, right? So I was like, man, this is getting a lot. This is getting hectic. So I was like, I'm not playing ball because I'm trying to stay true to myself and I'm going to have my teams back, right? So
we said to you, every time someone said that to you, Steph and I always made the point of, fuck that, be you.
So be me. So because I was going against the grain, Nate, is of like coaching and like management telling me to be one thing when I didn't want to be that. I was like, my contract's coming up. If I'm not playing ball, there's a very high chance that they're probably not going to renew it, right? So I was like, okay.
Not on my watch. I would have gone down in flames for you.
So I was thinking long term. I was like, okay, Sarah and I are trying to have baby. I want to set myself up. I've always said that I want to retire in my 40s. So I need to take what is on offer. The offer came. They were like, we'll give you an X amount of money for my FM with this long of a term. And I was like, cool. If that's what you're offering and that edge wasn't there, then I'm guessing that that's the right lane to go down because that's what I got offered. So I talked to my wife, and obviously she's the one that's going to make the decision with me. And that's why I was like, if that's the offer on the table now, I'm taking that because I need to look long term for security.
But the thing is that if you'd said that from the beginning, that would have been fine.
Yeah, but that's why I said I didn't feel like I had to. Because it was like my own personal thing.
Yeah, I know. But that was the thing is that instead of saying they're making me go, I don't have a choice, that instantly makes us want to defend you because we love you.
And that's kind of nice having people fight for you.
Yeah, whereas, because that was my argument, was I was like, he doesn't want to go. Like, he doesn't want to go. He's telling us he doesn't want to go.
I want to say this.
And then Leon's like, no, he does want to go. He asked to go. And I'm like, who the fuck is lying? Like, someone's lying.
I didn't ask to go. I did not. I want to make that very, very clear.
Yeah.
But also...
But that's all I'm saying is that the reaction would have been different if you were
sitting here like a fly on the wall going...
But do you agree with me?
Maybe I should have had the popcorn.
Do you know what this reminds me of?
What?
When a husband...
See, it's like a sexless marriage.
So let's say the husband and the wife are talking and the wife goes to the husband, are you up to anything tonight? And he's like, no, I just want to stay home. The friend's knocking the door and going, hey, I'm here to pick you up. The husband's going, what do you mean you're here to pick me up? And like, what are you talking about? You told us to come pick you up and ask your wife. I was like, no, I didn't. I don't want to go anywhere.
But it's like, it's like use your rugby analogy. Let's say everyone's talking to Artie Savia about if he wants to go to Moana Pacifica or stay at the Canes. And when he makes that decision to go to Moana Pacifica, he's like, this is why I want to go. This is the reasons I want to go. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't have the beauty of a press conference.
No, you didn't. No, I'm just talking about like he would have spoken to his team before that, right?
Yeah.
Rather than him going into the Canes sheds and going, guys, they're making me go. They're making me go to Moana Pacifica. I don't want to go to Moana Pacifica because then what are all the Canes going to do?
Yeah.
They're going to go in and be like, he doesn't want to go. Whereas if he'd gone in like he did and said, hey guys, it's really important for me to go play for Moana Pacifica. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. And people were like, can't argue with that.
Can I be honest, sir? And I mean this now because we're cool now. Like, you know.
I didn't realise we weren't cool.
No, well, you know.
I didn't realise we weren't cool. Was there
Stop
a
trying to get it up.
Was
Stop
there a
trying to
period
get it
that
up.
we weren't cool?
No, and I think because we're close and because,
When
you
do
know.
you think you guys weren't cool? Was it
Yeah,
like
I'm
up
trying to-
until-
Let me explain.
Yeah, how long was that?
No. So
Is that why you've been weird to me?
I was nervous because
It does feel weird when I see you guys. Like, now that you bring it up,
No,
You know-
I'm not a very affectionate person, nor am I
Whoa.
more.
Why are you yelling?
Calm down.
And I struggle with empathy, right? And I've always struggled
Yeah.
with that.
He's a narcissist.
Yeah, I probably am, to
Probably.
be honest. But, like I was nervous about, breaking up the show because, like I really wanted it to work. I tried my hardest. And thank you for the validation of, of making a point on the show and making myself have a bit of purpose. But I think when the reaction that, I'm saying this lovingly.
No, it's fine.
When I saw the reaction in the room of the announcement, I was like, nah. Because when you love someone as a friend, and because I've never worked
Yeah.
with you before,
Yeah.
I saw a completely different Sharyn at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe it was the right decision to move out. And then I didn't think we were cool because it was a little bit, fire and ice at some points, of like trying to maneuver through that week and a bit that I had to still work on the show.
Do you agree?
Because I was, and what I want to say in all of that is because of all those experiences of never seeing that side of you before. And obviously I was
the emotional side.
the emotional side,
Yeah.
like not that, I know that you would do wear your heart on your sleeve, but like I never saw it like that. And I'd never seen
Try to
any
sound
of,
crazy.
no,
Crazy's good.
I was just like, whoa. Like, and I'm not used to people. I know, to be honest, now I am. I mean, you went to jail. So I've had to deal with a lot. But, it was kind of hard to work that week. Like, no, I was kind of walking on eggshells a little bit because I didn't want to make it worse. And I was just trying to like hold back. And I'm not one to overshare. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to hold it. And then I was just nervous around you for a while because I was like, I don't want to fuel it
Yeah.
again and catch strays or you catch strays. So I just...
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I remember in the meeting when Leon told us, I looked at you and I said,
And my head was down, I think.
yeah. And I looked at you and I said, do you want to go? I was like, I looked at him straight up and I was like, so before I wanted to give my reaction. So this is the thing. This is the thing, is that this is the turning point of how it could have been different, was that I looked at Nickson and I said, is this what you want? Like, do you want to go? And it was just like that. And Nickson goes, duh. He just kind of like shrugged. And because he shrugged, I was like, I've been through this with Clint and I didn't fight for Clint as hard as I should have.
Yeah.
And I've always regretted that. I should have been like, no, like.
So you came ×2 for me.
Yeah. So I was like, because you gave me the impression that it wasn't something that you wanted to do. And I was like, well, this is my moment that I need to speak up for my friend. And I was angry at Leon because I felt like my career was being fucked with again. And that was how I read the room, was that he didn't want to go. If you had said to me in that meeting, Shaz, I'm really sorry, but I got offered this, Sarah and I want to do this, and blah, 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 then I would have been like, okay, that sucks, but I respect it. And my reaction would have been so different.
Yeah.
But because you said in the meeting, you gave us the impression that you didn't want to go. And then when I talked to you after the meeting, you said you were being made to go. That's what made me really upset, because I was like, I'm not going to let somebody
So what are the
push
key
around someone I
takeaways?
love. I think the
What are the
key
key takeaways
the key
from this?
takeaways are for me is that, and I have apologized
'Cause
to
this-
you.
this
I've
is-
apologized to you, and I've apologized to Sarah that
Yeah.
my reaction was too emotional, and that's just something that I can't, like, I'm learning
That's
to
just you.
grapple with. Like,
But-
I am learning now that I've been diagnosed with ADHD. I'm learning to control like that sort of reaction, because it's not one I can control.
Don't change.
And
Yeah,
as
don't
soon
change.
as somebody that I love is being made to do something they don't want to do, or being hurt, then I will go down in a blaze of glory and put myself on the line for them.
Yeah.
And you guys saw it in the kitchen
I
last
saw it in the
week.
kitchen last week. Yeah.
But yeah, and so I think the key to this, and not just like my key takeaway is,
this is good for
I need
anybody
to-
going through a situation where a team breaks up. This is good.
is that my key takeaway is I need to count to 5 and think before I react, and kind of hold it in until I've left the room. And I think your key takeaway is that you need to learn to communicate with other people. because you just think, and it's great that you just think about yourself, but that whole thing would have been so different if you had just said from the start the truth and not lied.
I didn't really lie.
You did.
I didn't really lie. I didn't.
Kind of.
No.
But if you'd straight up explained it to me like you explained it to me before, I would have been like, makes perfect sense. Because afterwards I left, I rang Sarah and was like really upset and was like, oh my God, like they're making him leave and like blah. And she's like, oh fuck, I don't know what to say because I know that he wants to go. And it's like, and so I do deeply regret my reaction being so emotional, and I've apologized to you and I have apologized to Sarah about that.
Yeah,
and
I know you have.
And I've said to them like, fuck, it's so embarrassing to even think about now, but it's just because it was all.
This is why it's good to talk about.
It was all out of like protection of my friend.
You know the way.
And like I would go down, like no matter the scenario, if somebody fucked with my friend, I do not give a fuck who you are. If they are my true friend and someone that I love, I will go down blazing for you. Like I will stand up and I will make sure it counts, because I've definitely had moments in my life when I didn't do that. And so in my mind at the time, that's what I was doing, was I was fighting for you to be happy, because the impression I got was that you were going to be happier at the edge.
Hey, you know what?
So the key is, Nickson, be a better communicator and I'll be a little bit more sane.
Emotionally stable.
Emotionally stable.
What were you going to say, Nate?
No, I was just gonna say, I'm like, I'm just happy that this is happening. I'm happy. Yeah.
Well, no, I see Sharyn every day, so I was like, it'll be cool to get her on, clear the air about it.
It did piss me off though that the thing that did piss me off in that week and why it was weird was all of a sudden this had been thrown on us. Like Steph and I completely blindsided. Steph was in shock, so she didn't get upset about it until like the Monday, and then that's when she got really upset about it. But then it was like, oh, I want to leave on Tuesday. And I was like, well, no, we're doing this whole fucking story arc thing on air, so you need to be here for the Friday. Oh, I'm going to finish on the Thursday. 15 minutes before the show, he comes to me and goes, I'm finishing tomorrow. We're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, okay. So we're just like, okay, well, now we have to rearrange all this shit. And
Guys,
then,
make it into a reality TV show.
and
Would
then
be great.
we're on air. He says to us, I don't want to announce it on air. I just want to leave. And we're like, well, you need to announce it. 10 minutes before he was supposed to be doing a one-off about something else, Nickson goes, oh, I'm going to announce I'm leaving here. We were like,
I'll just do it here.
that's literally what he said. And we were like, okay. So I text Casey, our boss. I was like, hey, do you know Nickson's about to announce this? Because they'd need to put it out on social and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? No, I thought he was announcing it tomorrow. And I was like, no. And so then the marketing department and Casey are like trying to get it all organised and get it filmed and all that shit for social. But it was that's just how Nickson's brain works, where he's like, I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to do it now.
I learned that from him.
That was the only part where I did feel, I never felt angry with you. I guess I did feel hurt, but that was the only time that I got annoyed, where I was just like,
But the damage was already done.
yeah. But the thing is that back to your initial question about Bryce, I think Bryce was just like,
Your husband, Bryce.
yeah, I think my husband was
The
just
one that beat me in Five Alive.
I think my husband was just frustrated, because he wasn't just frustrated at you. He was also frustrated at Leon, because he was like, it's two different stories and someone just needs to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. And then you actually know, because when you're not telling the truth and you're emotionally connected to both of them, then you are so mind fucked by who's lying. Because it's like
two of your closest friends. Too,
yeah,
you
it's
know?
like two people. Like,
Shut up.
no, but two people that I do love and care about.
100.
And I'm like, well, so and
Hey,
then
but nobody died.
nobody died. But
Nobody
everything's
died.
And I want to make it very clear, like Nickson and I, as far as I'm concerned, are good and
Are
have
you?
been good.
Yeah, we're good. No, and that's why I was like, otherwise, would she be on the podcast?
Well, I don't know. I was surprised that you asked me to come on the podcast.
I would have gone, nah, don't worry about it.
The only other time was I wanted to come on to promote my TV show, and everyone in the building so could come on their show apart from Nickson.
Oh,
He blamed it on Troy.
Yeah, it was Troy's fault.
Oh,
Because she's not Latina.
Sad. Nah, but that was, I think that was probably, that was.
That's good. That's
But
good. We can talk about it.
Your first show, I have messaged you and said
Yeah.
that things were good. I have messaged. I listen to the show all the time. I think the show sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
I've told you that I think you made a really great decision, and I've apologized for my reaction.
And I apologize for hurting your feelings.
I appreciate that.
Nate, what would you like to apologize for?
For not being around.
Yeah, well, you have apologised for that. but I think that's another thing, though, right? Is that it's another. I guess it shows another side to confirm, like, that's my sort of character with my friends, is that once you're in, you're fucking in. Unless you really, really hurt me, like, you are in forever. And like Nate,
During your journey, she was there.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
Nate,
I heard.
yeah, like I would message you when you'd ring Nickson from jail. I'd be like, put him on speaker. I talked to him. But through the whole thing, I was also always like, you're going to come out, you're going to do it. And like when you came out, like we would message. Nate and I've always had this weird DM, deep and meaningful. Like I remember we had a conversation on Twitter DMs like years ago. I tried to find it before this actually. Years ago, before all of your naughty stuff started, where you wanted to leave mine and go back to Samoa. And I was like, Nate, like what? No. I was like, you are I think you're also the same as Nickson, where you pretend like you know how good you are, but you actually don't. And so I would like gas you up and be like, you're being an idiot, like you're fucking good, like you're really funny and blah, blah, blah. And then I feel like ever since then, I've always been like, he's going to come out the other side of this and he's going to learn from it. There was never a moment where I thought that you would go through all of this and come out and just go back to your old ways. I knew that your daughter was way too important. I knew your baby mama was like way too important. And so I just knew that no matter what happened, I'd always
Now look,
be there
onwards
for
and
you.
upwards.
Yeah.
The part I felt bad about the most is, you know, I'll talk to my baby mama over the jail phone. She goes, oh, poor Sharyn, poor Casey. And I was like, wait, what happened? Oh, they're standing up for you and saying that, you know that you did wrong. I was like, oh. And they're like, oh, yeah, they're getting bashed in the comments. I'm like, oh,
me and Nickson.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there was a post that...
I don't want to know about it.
Nah, Dave Natalia did a post about you and people were being dicks on it. And so I commented on it, being proud of you and how I did believe like in how you'd reformed and stuff like that. And people were coming for us in the comments and I was like, get fucked, that's my friend. Like, and I
then
know,
as soon as that started dying down, we got cancelled for going to Christopher Luxon's house.
yeah.
So I mean,
thanks,
you know,
Nickson. There was also another thing. Is it Nickson? So we also have to go to Christopher Luxon's house because it's Nickson's friend. Yeah. And then Nickson's like doesn't want to come, and then Nickson just turns up, sits on. He comes
so
anyway.
Chris goes, hey, I'm
Chris.
He was
sorry,
doing.
first name basis.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister goes, hey, I did this as a favour for you. Like, it'll be good if you show up. And I was like, okay, I'll ring the team because I'd already left at that point.
Yeah.
And you guys okay?
Can I ask you, like, I don't want to ask you because
You can
I
ask.
feel like it's kind of rude to ask
You can ask me.
like, what's your political allegiance? Like, who do you vote for?
I voted for Te Pāti Māori
Hey!
in
Yeah.
this election.
She was very open about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, I think even though I'm not Māori, like going through all the policies and stuff like that, the things and
She did the test.
I did the test and also the things that they want to do to make the country better.
Yeah.
I aligned with Te Pāti Māori on more things than any other party. I also think that Hana Rāwhiti is the
She's a
future.
gun, eh?
She is the future. Like anytime I see her, like her speeches from Parliament and stuff on TikTok, like she's a weapon. Like
Yeah.
the
Very
mana in that
intelligent.
girl, that woman, is out the gate, and like she's only just beginning. And so I felt like a vote for Te Pāti Māori was a vote for everyone, because it was the more people in Te Pāti Māori that were in Parliament, the more of this positive stuff is going to happen, and the more people are going to learn about people like Hana Rāwhiti, who is out the gate, like so good, and the more people like that we have in Parliament, the better.
So how did the program at the Chris Luxon house happen? And how did that
Oh,
feel?
no, we were supposed to go Beehive Pool and he doesn't have the key. So
They wouldn't let the Speaker of the House said we couldn't swim in the Parliament pool.
because Christopher Luxon's the Prime Minister, but the person in charge of the Beehive is the Speaker. It was Mallard at the time.
Yeah.
And he said no. And so Luxon was like, oh, you guys just come over to my house and you can have a swim here. And then we did.
I don't want to make it a political chat. I'm just curious.
Then we instantly regretted it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have a part 2 of Let's Talk Politics.
Nah, to be honest, I was trying to just take the conversation away from you two fighting.
Were we fighting?
No, we weren't. It was just honest
All
chat.
I know is you lied to me.
We did.
I didn't lie. I just withheld information that I
That's
didn't
the
think was
same
important.
thing. It's the same thing. Anyway,
That was such a
all
moment.
I want to clear up on this podcast is, we're good, eh?
Yeah, we're good. Otherwise, you would not be here.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Okay, good. Because you were a wee bit weird to me. And I felt like
I've
I wasn't
always
being
been weird around you because I don't show any emotion at all.
Nah, you've not always been weird around me.
No, I've always been weird. No,
used to have
it's
Hip Hop
not even
Fridays.
just you.
Sorry, what?
No,
We used to
no.
have Hip Hop Fridays. Or
It used to have another name, but we had to change it just because of the climate.
we would on Fridays schedule music when he was at Edge the first time, and we'd schedule music and we'd just like blast all our favorite like hip hop and R&B songs, and it was like my favorite afternoon of the week. It was so fun.
What was it called?
Black Fridays.
Oh,
Sharon.
it was named by Nickson.
And then so obviously we read the room, we read the climate, and so we changed the name to Hip Hop Fridays.
I will say though, Nickson, even through it all, you are nowhere near the worst person I've ever worked with.
Oh, now we can't stop.
no.
Now we can't stop.
No, that's for part 2.
No, fuck off. Sharon,
Yep.
are you going to leave us like that?
Well, one day I'll write a book and I'll name and shame. Nah, no, absolutely not. I'm too much of a people pleaser. I'm too scared. But no, I think that Nickson, I fucking love you. Never didn't love you. And
So you love Nate too, so he doesn't feel left out.
Nate knows I love him. We have deep and meaningfuls all the time.
We were just talking the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, man, fuck, tell Bryce Harper move on already.
On that note, Sharyn, Mary Ellen, Casey, thank you so much
Thank you for having
for
me.
being on the podcast.
If
What
any-
a roller coaster.
Anyone listening? Nickson and I are friends.
Yes, we are.
He asked me to be here.